Welcome to Grad Guidance, career tips and tools for graduate students. I'm your host, Allie Irk, Associate Director of Graduate Student Career Development at Lehigh University.
In this episode, we'll be discussing conducting informational interviews with our guest, Michael Kimmel, a master's student in the College of Education in the School Counseling Program.
Welcome to Grad Guidance. I'm Allie Irk. Today we're going to be talking about conducting informational interviews, and our guest is Mike Kimmel. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Yes, it's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, informational interviews are a wonderful way to gain insights, and they are a powerful networking tool. So having conversations with those who are in positions or companies of interest is a really great step to take. So I was wondering, Mike, if you could do a brief introduction of yourself, but also share your tips and experience with conducting informational interviews.
Of course. And thanks for the question too, Allie. So a bit about myself. So I am currently in my second semester of the K-12 school counseling program here at Lehigh University. I first started off at Lehigh in the education leadership program. And that's where I first got to meet Allie, and she was instrumental help in getting me a better job that essentially was higher pay, better benefits, and just more aligned to the work that I wanted to do. So I was always very thankful to Allie. And one of the things that she really helped me to do was also informational interviews, and really gave me a lot of tips on that. I've recently been using informational interviews to follow up with educators along the East Coast. So as a school counseling, in a school counseling program, one of the things is we look forward to taking our certification tests in our second year. So that being said, I wanted to keep my horizons open because I'm not married to Pennsylvania. And I wanted to see, I wanted to talk with educators in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine, just to pick their brains about what the education system's like in their state, any tips for certification, and I just love connecting with people. I love to talk with people. So that was something that I wanted to do. And I had a fair bit of success just reaching out. And one thing that I always recommend is just know your intentions. So when you're going in to essentially contact a stranger, if you're not being introduced by somebody else, is to really know what your ask is, and keep in mind that their time is precious and they're essentially giving it to a stranger. So in some cases, I had the common connection of Lehigh. They might be Lehigh grads, and I could kind of spin off that. In other cases, it was just speaking to my passion with education and letting them know my intentions. After that, it's really up to them and what they have time for. Some folks, we just stuck to messaging in LinkedIn. Just the instant messaging, or sometimes, I was able to schedule phone calls or Zoom meetings with folks. And it really was a great process. Like I said, I got to meet a lot of people. I got to see other sides of counseling that I don't get to see in Pennsylvania, just by the way the systems are set up. And in fact, I actually have a Zoom call with a teacher based out of Boston, public schools, Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yes, if I just had a recap, I would say really know your intentions, what you're asking, make sure it's the right person, and, just be very gracious with their time, because at the end of the day, you both are strangers to each other. So I always make sure to let them know that I'm incredibly grateful to them sharing their experience and their wisdom with me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think it sounds to me like these informational interviews have helped you both in terms of exploring opportunities. You've gotten some great information about your career path, and you never know too, right? You can also discover opportunities that may pop up from your connections, right? We know that that happens, in the course of connecting. So I think it's amazing. And the final piece I just wanted to ask is, how much time do you think you have to give to an informational interview, would you say? How much
the whole
time
process? Okay, yeah, I would say, well, it really depends. So I use two platforms. I use both LinkedIn and Lehigh Connects. to do a lot of research. If a Lehigh Connects profile wasn't fully developed, I might check out a person's LinkedIn or, use that process to set it up. But it really not much time at all. Like I said, when you know what you're going to ask and you know what you're going in with and you have that defined purpose, I would maybe spend during my break, maybe an hour or 2 hours just sitting down and coming up with a list of people that I want to reach out to. And then now it's just a matter of, sending instant messages or emails back and forth to set up a time that, maybe like a half an hour, just informational interview. If it goes longer, great. I don't cut off organic conversation, but it's really not that much time at all when you consider everything.
Excellent. And it sounds to me like you adjusted the time to fit the person's schedule and your own schedule. So sometimes you said you maybe just messaged, and sometimes you might have, a 30-minute interaction. So I think that's the wonderful part. It can be adapted based on the situation. So I think it's time well spent for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So, well, thank you so much, Mike, for sharing your insights and your experience. I think it makes a tremendous difference for people who maybe haven't done any informational interviews yet, but are thinking that this is the time to get started. So thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Here are some strategies for conducting informational interviews. Clarify your goals for networking. Identify professionals and roles or companies of interest to ask industry-specific questions. Tap into the Lehigh Alumni Network using Lehigh Connects and the LinkedIn Alumni Tool. Leverage LinkedIn to find others in your field to connect with. Introduce yourself, highlight a common connection, and share your intentions when reaching out. Be respectful and flexible when scheduling time to talk. Show appreciation and follow up with a thank you.